Welcome, Lori Souza. I'm so glad to see you here. I'm thrilled to have you be here.
Thank you, Jill. Glad to be here. Glad to be part of your summit.
You have so much wisdom to offer because you have such an extensive and varied background. Just to share a bit about you, Lori has her certificate or has her degrees in education, technology, business, and ministry. And you've taught the world over business, economics, and real estate, but have now shifted to focus on the new financial technology of cryptocurrency.
That's right. That's right. A much needed topic to talk about.
So you have a lot to share about ability to transform and mindset shift. I'm really excited for this conversation because it's so relevant to the big picture of transformation in education, but also in our world. And I'd like you to just begin with telling us a little about who you are and what you're doing in the world.
Well, thank you,
days.
Jill.
Now, I mean, beyond the technology, tell us what you're up to.
Yeah. So that's right. So I'll just tell you a little history about me. So I was working full time, 24 hours, 7 days a week in real estate, running a real estate brokerage. And I did that, coach and trained agents to come on into the field of real estate. And so that was a very popular topic, to teach. People, there's always people wanting to get, even teachers, wanting to quit their jobs and go into real estate. So you have all kinds of professions. And so I teach adults, and I was teaching in a private college in Scottsdale, Arizona for 10 years. Well, I noticed that what was going on towards the end, we had the real estate recession that happened. And a lot of people were devastated with losing their homes and not understanding what was going on in the economy. So there was a lot of topics that needed to be taught around that, the banking system, the economy. As I continued to work and teach real estate and the business, we started to see an influx of inflation that happened. So we moved out of a recession and into inflation, but it creeped in slowly in about 2017. And so I felt a calling to start writing about the economy and really looking at what is it that I can do to inform people with what's coming, what's ahead of us here. And really made a shift, and it was COVID. COVID was actually the shift that I took my education and moved it online. And so a lot of educators are up with that, changing factor right now that we have is where, wow, there's some obstacles now in teaching in a classroom. There's some obstacles to getting to somewhere on time. There's a lot of, with COVID and the pandemic, there's a lot of reasons for people to keep their children at home or to learn from home. And so, this is a shifting economy, not just because of the new technologies that are out there, but also in the way that we show up and the way that we teach. And I moved my business online 2 years ago, and it's been wonderful.
Certainly this Zoom is a wonderful thing, as I've been able to witness and experience the ease in connection, and that's a blessing. We also are trying to think about, uniting body, mind, and spirit. And so I would be curious on your perspective. Are these antithetical? Are they two complete opposite things? Or what is the nature of integrating them?
Yeah. So there's two very good topics for us to discuss here. So moving everything online has required me to really adjust how I work, how I teach. And so we can't fit new systems into the way things always were. And have you noticed that people, you hear the buzz is that people are always saying, oh, I wish things would go back the way they were, right? And or when this all boils over, then we can go back to normal. Well, what I found from my experience in having different careers and career sectors is that we have to move with the times. And so one thing I did was come up with a framework for change because this is where we are right now. And so many people are having to make a decision of, should I go into the classroom or should I go into a meeting and show up and with the possibility of being affected by the pandemic, or people who have actually been sick or have sick family members they're taking care of. These are all things that have moved us into having Zoom meetings now and having that option. So many people are being able to work from home, and so many people want to work from home, and to be able to continue their careers or shift their careers a little bit so that they can make that happen. And so it takes a mindset shift, right? Because there's the human nature likes to think that there are obstacles in change. When change shows up, first thing we think of is why we can't do it that way, right? And in general. So think of anything that you've had to shift in your life. If it's something new and different, you think, oh, I can't do that. Or, human nature is to think of the obstacles first and not of the possibilities. And so the mindset shift is really, really important, especially, okay, you mentioned now I'm teaching the new financial technology. And so this brings in a whole new economic system that many, many people don't quite understand. And so I go in and teach that system, which is really moving quite rapidly, especially with this digital movement of us all being online, and everything is through the cell phone now, right? We all carry technology around with us. Now people don't have to walk into banks. They can do all their banking on their phone, right? So when we look at the new financial technology, which I could go and talk about, that is creating changes right now for people. And there's also, with change, there's a learning curve as well. And but I have a framework that works, that integrates it. So I'm really excited to share that here in this interview today.
Oh, we're excited to hear it. And you'll make it relevant to the educational perspective as well. I mean, you are an educator, but
yes,
focus largely on adults. Some of
yeah,
those listening will be the ones focused on children. And
yes,
so we're looking for the big picture of how this framework of change can apply to all of our lives, really.
right. So for teachers making the decision to, wow, should I come into the classroom? I feel like maybe I was exposed to COVID. Okay, so that's a decision, right? And so we are in society know that we need to protect the children, and should they wear masks in class, and should the teacher even show up? As people are moving into, well, the possibility of creating a classroom online, right? So there's a lot of commonalities, no matter what change it is, whether it's a teacher, whether it's a business person, whatever career they're in, whatever families, however their family network is. There's 4 points I came up with. There's 4 steps that need to happen in order to make a change. And the first step is to acknowledge the need for a change or a transformation. And so some people are still in denial and going, la, 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 I don't want to hear it. I like it the way it was. I wish this would all just go away and just keep going on, and, gossiping at the coffee pot or whatever, And so, and that's the very first step. As soon as somebody acknowledges that there's a need to change in what they're doing, whether it's a career or whether it's a way they do their business or run their classroom, then we can move on to the second step. Okay. And the second step is accept that the change is here. And so once we acknowledge it, then we can accept it. We can move into acceptance. And that's a big one, because a lot of people can't accept that we are doing things digitally now. We are online. We are more than ever. I've been in Zoom meetings more than boardroom meetings or conference room meetings in the last 2 years. Zoom has been really a way of business and a way of teaching now. And so there's so many teaching tools that are available, no matter what age group, whether it's children or adults, for individuals to set up online classrooms. And when
And technological learning platforms. I
Oh,
mean, just
absolutely.
learning platforms through technology.
Yeah, and I don't know if anybody in your summit has mentioned, but Kahoot is a really good educational platform where teachers can create their testing online. So if there's a students that can't make it, or maybe their parents don't want them to go to school, the teachers can set up their quizzes and their tests and their material online in Kahoot, and they can access those tests from home. And so these are systems that have already been built. It's just being able to accept that this is a way that we can do things. Now, the third step is to understand. So once I accept that these changes are taking place, then I seek to understand how I can make them happen. So, for example, the Kahoot, right? That would be in the understanding phase of understanding that there are systems, there are ways, there's things that are available, tools that are available for people to make this change. And when I say change, I'm talking in general. I mean, whether we're talking about moving your business online or teaching online or incorporating a new technology, that takes this framework as well, because many people are aware or may not be aware that there's new technologies that exist, but seeking to understand. That means we're going to do some research. That means we're going to take time and study on how to do this, how to make this better, because we do have systems that are better than the old way. And that's where transformation takes place. Okay, I'm going to understand that these tools are available. I can now do my banking online. I can now set up my quizzes so that my students can take them on their phone. And they can still have the same learning experience. Now, the fourth one and the very last one is adoption. And so now we've acknowledged, we've accepted, and we've sought to understood. Now we get to adopt these changes. And the adoption happens from what works for you, because not necessarily does one, or let's just say a teacher, for example, may like another platform better than another. You know, one teacher might like YouTube, one teacher might like Venmo, right? So we have different as far as video instruction. So we have all these platforms that are available. So we now get to adopt the change. We made the decision, we're going to move forward, and we're going to adopt this change or this new way of being, you know, of showing up, of being the instructor or being the business person. And so one of the things I did was I started a YouTube channel. I said, you know, there's so much that needs to be taught in this new financial technology, and I can't possibly reach everyone. Let me create a YouTube platform where I can offer free education and then expand from there. So, you know, individuals can get the education with these online platforms. And yeah, so Jill, I'm telling you, this framework work for change works for so many things, anything in your life that you're needing to change. So this is where the integration happens, right? Of the body, the mind, and the spirit, is because we have to be, when we're going through transformation, it can be quite wearing actually, because we are going through, when we go through change, we sometimes don't give ourselves enough credit or enough time to acknowledge that we are going through a change. Let's say a family where there's a divorce. That's a major, major change. And so it's important to go through these steps to really become and step into the new person or into the new way of being or the new structure, right? Whether it's a divorce or a new business or shifting a career. So yeah, it's a plug and play, really, is what it is.
It's
So
very deep.
yeah.
There's an analogy that comes to mind for some reason about, I remember floating down the rapids. And if you fight and struggle, then you're banging your knees and elbows along the way. But if you kind of go in with the fluid water, then it carries you forward. And that touches into the spirit in terms of like trusting that we aren't just alone, trusting this is not just me in the rainstorm, but that there's a rainstorm kind of happening to us all, the rainstorm
Right.
of change and transformation. And we are best when we work with it, with the power of the spirit within and the power of the community, and
Mhm.
understand it is happening globally, really. It's what
Globally
I call an awakening.
with everybody. And so, and that's interesting, you say going with the flow, but sometimes we can't just go with the flow as well, because we do have to be mindful in where we're going. And so that's why the second step of acceptance and understanding is very important. There needs to be a lot of time spent there in order to seek out support groups or meetup groups or networking groups, because we can't do this alone. We can't make a transformation or a shift alone. We do need to surround ourselves with a positive force that's going to help us move into that and
Not get
move
stuck
into,
in not
yeah,
get stuck in resistance.
not get stuck in resistance or negativity or individuals who don't want to change, because majority of people don't want to change. I mean, we're all human. Most of us don't want to make a change. Most of us want like thing, hey, I put that there. I put that, who moved my fruit bowl off the counter, right? So, we think of those things as, we deal with that every single day with every little decision. But when it comes to something major, like a major shift in lifestyle, or, and even dealing with change in family status or change in career or moving, these are major stresses in life, right? So it is important to integrate and take the time to be kind to ourselves and say, okay, I need a little bit more time to accept this. I need a little bit more time to seek to understand more or to research more. And then the last is, now I need some time to adopt these changes in my life. Because if we don't take the time to adopt the changes, we could spend time in class all day long. We could go and learn all these new systems and not implement them. And that's what happens in businesses. That's what happens in organizations, because there's so much bureaucracy in large systems or corporations, organizations, large schools, where the intention is good. Let's go through all of this training. Let's put this new platform into place. And then everybody says, well, we've always done it this way and it works. Or, we'll get to this later, and it never happens. So the adoption part is kind of like a rollout. Now let's roll out this new technology. Now that we've learned about it, now let's go and roll it out and test it. And it doesn't have to be perfect, and it's not going to be. We get to actually know that when we're going through this transformation or going through this change or the shift. And for me, I can speak when I moved my business from being in a classroom, it was really scary leaving that, because I had done it for 10 years and I loved it. I loved getting up and teaching in a large classroom. And, I still do, but it's not full time, right? Like it's not as many classes that are live that I used to do. But moving things online, well, now you have a whole nother set of things that you have to learn. You have to learn your video program. You have to learn about Zoom. You have to learn about scheduling, online scheduling. So these are all new systems that are uncomfortable, and they test us as a human being on what we can do. I mean, we really push through our own barriers when we make such a big change, right? And so when we're pushing through those barriers, that's like, okay, there's no turning back now. I got to keep going, and then I can adopt these changes. So yeah, it's interesting, but yeah, it's a plug and play platform. It's a plug and play framework. And I'm anxious to put that all in writing to share it with everybody as well.
I'm eager to receive it. And I'm just curious, about the mind body spirit connection. It seems like once you start to get into the adopting phase, the energy starts to come back. You gain more energy, the enthusiasm comes in. In the acknowledging phase, that's where the resistance, the pain is still showing up perhaps. And so how do you suggest taking care of ourselves through these processes? Like, how do we go from depletion and overwhelm and fear or anxiety into energy and enthusiasm for what we're moving into?
Yeah. Well, and that's interesting. And that's a big topic. So let's look at the family when COVID first hit, and the let's just sit. I'm just going to use a normal 2.2 kid family. Okay, we have a mother, a father, and 2.2 kids. Right, the average family. Now the father has to stay home from work and work from home, and now the mother is let's say, or even a teacher, let's say the mother's a teacher and she has to work from home, and now the kids are home, and everybody has their own lives and everybody's functioning under the same roof at the same time now. So we have all these different schedules that need to be managed. And so how do we integrate all this? Now we not are only considering our self growth, but we're considering the unit, the family unit's growth together, right? And how does the family unit grow? And that is considering each person and each schedule. And then we have to integrate those schedules within just one household, right? And so those are all major changes that everybody's had to take, or measures that they've had to with COVID. And so then you find out, wow, I really didn't know that, that this task took so long, or I didn't know that, Bobby took, an hour and a half to actually, take care of this one task, right? And so now we get to understand everybody's dynamic in this shift because we've changed environments. Now, that's a big part of acceptance, is changing environments, because now we learn once we change environments, and most of us don't have control over that, or we didn't have control over the COVID. It's an external force. So when we have an external force that's upon us, now we have to understand, why is this here, right? And really acknowledge everybody's system or internal system. Somebody might take 10 minutes to do a task that another person might take an hour and a half, right? And so I know teachers are met with that all the time, and do a very good job of managing in a classroom. What about digitally? Can we manage it digitally, right? Can we manage it through technology, or is it something that needs to be managed when we are incorporating technology? Can people have more of a self-paced learning? So these are all factors to look at, right, when we're making that shift. And so I think your question, I know we're going into some discussion here, is, incorporating body, mind, and spirit. It's considering the group, the unit, the network. And, of course, there's the old saying, I have to put my own, when you're in the airplane and they're getting ready to take off, they say, put your face mask on first before you can help somebody else. So it's really important for us to be centered into our own, what we're doing, and staying in our lane, and not really moving into somebody else's lane and saying, hey, how come that took you so long? How come, and really understanding that there's different systems and different ways of doing things. And now you have 4 people in a household that everybody's staying home, and just think in the 1800s, that's the way it was done all the time, right? So, and in some cultures, you do already have families that stay together while the kids are adults and they get married. And in the US, not so much. We have everybody's pretty much autonomous. And so this is really called for the need to work in groups, and to really get positive support systems surrounding in our environments. So.
Thank you. Talk to us more about how you see technology in our future. What are you seeing coming in the future? What's the nature of the transformations upon us now? We're coming out of the COVID at this point.
Yeah.
We don't know what's coming.
Yeah. Lots of shifts though.
Yeah, but so where do you see us heading?
Well, one of the things I do teach is about everybody getting ready for the new digital economy, which is where we are. We're moving into a digital economy. So what does that mean? Not only does it mean we have our meetings and our classrooms online, but it also means that we're performing so many tasks online. And I use banking because everybody has to do banking in our current system. And so we have that online. We have ordering medications online. Now everybody has things delivered to their house now. So with all these changes and with the new digital economy, the mindset shift is important. And I'll use an example of my mom because she has, I will tell you, it's very interesting because I've seen the different waves of technology come, when the computer first came out, and the resistance of everybody getting a computer. Remember back in the early 90s, and many people said, oh, I don't need to get a computer. I have a phone book, or I can go to the library. Why do I need a computer, right? And now everybody has one. And so we're not resisting that change anymore. However, when you're looking at the elderly or the older generations ahead of us, integrating that technology has been very difficult. And some people still don't use a computer. And society expects everybody to have a computer now. Now we're going into another wave of technology, and that is doing everything online, doing our banking online, and dealing with customer service that's not so efficient online. So now my mom's has the frustration and where, oh my gosh, is there any customer service that knows what they're doing anymore? Because she's on hold for hours a day trying to reach a doctor or trying to get a prescription or trying to get the right company, right person in the right department. And so, I get to hear the resistance, right? And so I find that what we resist persists, right?
Yeah.
So if we can go with the flow of the newness of the new technology, but we also have to remember that we're human, we're not robots. And so the human aspect of it is very important for us all to remember. And just like having this conversation with you, here we are online, right? And we're having this conversation. We're human beings, but the technology, a lot of resistance with that is, well, the possibility of the future when we're looking at electric cars or autonomous driving cars, or we have the, cryptocurrency, which is digital money. That sounds scary, doesn't it? I mean, it's really nerve-wracking to think of something that is so new and just seems so futuristic, but that's where we're going. We have Elon Musk, who bought the largest satellite system. He owns more satellites in the sky than any other country. So we have these changes that are happening in our world that are not just affecting us in technological ways, but also as human, and really embracing our spirit, our human, and really maintaining that is going to be so important to share that with people. Just the basics of compassion and understanding and another person and what they're going through. We can't be so quick to judge what somebody else is doing unless you've walked a mile in their shoes, right? And so everybody's got their system, or how long it takes, or where their background or where they've come from. And so we are incorporating that. And for me, what I see, yes, AI is coming. Yes, we have new blockchain technology that's building a new internet to protect our data. Our data is getting taken. I do teach a lot about the shifting in the way that we save our data. Rather than giving it away online, we need to maintain it and hold on to our data. It's very important. And when people start to see their value, they'll start to see the value in their data as well, because digital data is priceless. Your own creations are priceless. And so you get to actually keep your data with the new internet that's coming, which is being built right now with the new technology.
Through the blockchain.
Through blockchain technology, that's right. Yeah.
And talk to us about centralized versus decentralized, why that's valuable.
Okay, yeah. So I'm going to go into the financial technology a little bit. So there's two types. One of the things I teach is about the new financial system that's running parallel with the old financial system. So our current financial system is a centralized banking system, and so also our internet was built as a centralized system. So anything that you upload onto Facebook or Google or your Google Drive, all of that data, you signed the terms and conditions that said you're giving your data away. And now it's susceptible to advertisers to reach out to you and to target you based on what you're uploading on those platforms. Now, the decentralized system says, no, I'm holding on to my data. I'm going to keep my data. And back when computers first came out, this is the way it was structured. We got to save our data onto our hard drive and nobody had access to it. Now our computers are built in that we save our data on to the G Drive, Google Drive, or the cloud. Yeah. And so that makes it centralized. That means it's susceptible to somebody taking your data or advertisers using it. Now the decentralized system says, we're going to take our power back. That means I'm going to claim my own data. I'm going to keep it and I'm going to make money on my own data if that's what somebody chooses to do, if they're in business or if they're teaching, or if this is their career, right? And so with money, it's the same thing. So cryptocurrency, for the most part, is decentralized money, meaning that there's no ruling authority. When you own your own Bitcoin, then you own your own money. Nobody can take it from you. And so when you, and I'm going to just back up a little bit, because the current central banking system, when you put money in the bank, that, let's say that you go to the bank and you deposit $100. That $100 doesn't sit there in the bank waiting for you to go and withdraw it. That $100 moves around our financial system so that the secondary market can go ahead and invest with your money. Because we moved it into the central banking system, we're allowing others to use it. Okay, just like our data. With a decentralized system, now we are holding on to, on our digital platforms or on our computer or on our phone, we're holding on to our own data and our own money. Okay, so we're really being more sovereign individuals. We're really trusting ourselves more of, yeah, I can manage my data. Yeah, I can manage my money. I don't, so that's the mindset of a decentralized system, and a lot of people like centralized systems, don't get me wrong, but there are now two systems running in place, and they're going to run in parallel for about the next 10 years while we rebuild the internet and restructure it. And when I say we, there's a large group of engineers and developers and scientists and technologists and futurists that are working on this. And so it's really, when you start to understand the decentralized systems and here's an example. There was an individual that had a drawing they put on a platform. It's called an NFT platform, and sold. It was a girl, I think 12 or 13 years old, sold her drawing for $1 million. Wow, is that a powerful person or what? It doesn't matter how old you are or how young you are, right? So these decentralized systems give people the capability of making more for themselves with their data.
This feeds right into the big picture of education in terms of, we've done quite a bit of focusing on the younger child and how to create, holistic modalities for education. As we are preparing our teens and our high schoolers and into the college students, what is it that you see most important for these young people that are going to be the leaders of tomorrow to be educated in order to be relevant for these kind of changes? How do we facilitate a mindset shift for, well, they're already kind of the leaders, actually.
Well, they are, right? I know my 4-year-old nephew gets in the telephone and knows how to, send a text message or, download a picture. And
So
so,
it does seem very relevant, this idea of entrepreneurship, of understanding digital technology. Like what are the key things that we need to be
yeah.
educating those teenagers in?
So one of the things that's really important, okay, let's just go back 10 years. The teacher in the classroom will say, you need to put that cell phone away. You need to stop playing, Johnny, stop playing video games in class. Now you're trying to learn. And now the learning tools are video games. Now the way that the kids today are learning is they're learning through technology because it has their interest. Me as a talking head to a child who's 10 is very boring online. So when there's graphics and pictures and interactive learning, then they're going to learn more. And so technology does allow for interactive learning. And there's also so many games they can learn about money from. And why do they need to learn about money? Yes, like you said, the entrepreneurial mindset is, wow, not only are we moving, we have two systems, we have a centralized and a decentralized. The decentralized is an entrepreneurial movement where many people you saw during COVID quit their jobs. They didn't want to work for large organizations anymore, and they're starting their own businesses. Whether it's, making plaques that you hang on the wall, or making arts and crafts, or teaching classes, so there's so many entrepreneurial opportunities that can be taught to children via technology, these platforms that, because they're excited about the opportunity, about the interactivity, rather than, oh, the dread, oh, I got to go to class and I got to learn this. No, it does aid teachers. It does aid the students in their learning. And it actually is helpful for the teachers, because the teachers, getting up and teaching for 8 hours straight is, you're on all the time, right? So when you have some teaching tools that can be used in technology, now you're engaging your students more. And so I find that even putting in shorter quizzes and shorter amounts of time, maybe 5-minute or 10-minute quizzes in an hour or less than an hour instruction, right? And so now those quizzes could be through a video game. Okay. And there's so many platforms that these kids can earn cryptocurrency from. They can earn money. Yeah. And they're learning and earning at the same time. So it really does bring in all aspects of entrepreneurship, not just, oh, I can do this idea, but I can also make money doing this idea.
And also badges. I know that there's rewards that are not necessarily financial, but that there are motivating rewards for having got to this level, having gotten to that level.
Yeah, green gems, blue diamonds. They get, how many can they get and what can they spend it on, right? These are all self-contained ecosystems that can be used as teaching tools.
And so what is the content is the way that the educators can really help to influence that realm in a meaningful way, that we are using it towards content that is relevant and interesting and feeds the mind and body and spirit.
Well, it's so true. And I really like to teach economics, and I integrated it when I taught with real estate, and I taught business for 12th graders when I first started teaching. One of the things that is important is there's a lack of that integration in our curriculum for kids today. The only requirement in the US is 1 semester of economics their senior year. And so where does one learn how to balance a budget? Where does one learn how to not just have a job, but how to create a job, or how to create a career, or how to find what it is that you really love? What is your passion? What are you good at doing? What is it you like to do? That discovery doesn't happen in today's mainstream curriculum, right? And so what happens to the adult, then the child that goes through that our current curriculum without having those classes or that discovery while they're a child, they have to go through that discovery in their 20s and 30s, sometimes 40s, and it can take a little longer. But time is moving so fast right now, and the kids are growing up with technology, with a phone in their hand, with the videos in hand, learning how to do all this have all this interactions at such a young age. They're going to expect it, and it's going to continue. The technology will continue to advance at a faster pace. And so it's going to be really important for those leading the groups to initiate conversations and maybe lesson plans around what is their passion, or what is it that they really like to do? What is it that they see themselves, and going through a visualization process. One of the classes I do with my coaching that I do, one of the, I call it a vision budgeting, where we make a vision budget. And it's a good half-hour coaching. And I would like to even offer that to any of your listeners as well. So a vision budgeting is where we sit down and we say, okay, how much money do you want to make? Or what is your goal? Is there something that you have in mind that you'd like to purchase? Okay. And so this can be done with children and adults, right? Where now we are the ones that put the obstacles in front of us. And so when we realize, we look at the possibilities in front of us, we can really move forward in that framework all the way to adoption, right? In our own lives, of how to incorporate those changes so that the vision becomes a reality. It's exciting.
It is exciting. It is
Yeah.
exciting. And I just want to echo that one of the things I heard, like, about, well, we may not know our gifts still, we're in our 40s, even in our 50s, that we are still, it feeds back into that mindset shift that we are always reinventing ourselves. We are lifelong learners. You're never too old to learn. You're never too old to shift. And change careers, as you are a shining example. And like, now what will I learn next? It's an engagement. It's an adventure, right?
It is an adventure. And, I really enjoy. Okay. So for myself, I consider myself a lifelong learner. The more I learn, the better teacher I can become. Or, I'm never going to stop learning new things, and new things are here, and they're continuing to come along. And so we get to go along for the ride.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sure some of those ears perked up, like, well, that sounds like a gift I'd be interested in. So let's just name your website, which is an important one for people that are especially interested in that technological financial aspect. MyBitcoinConsultant.com.
Yeah. So mybitcoinconsultant.com. I have a consulting company. It's called Digital Asset Consulting. And so I offer education. I speak at conferences and events and classes and training, whether it's online or in person. And so it is around the new digital economy, the new financial technology, and how important we're going to all see shifts and changes as the dollar continues to be printed, and understanding the financial system as it runs today. And I think everybody's seeing it. We are in inflation. We are really in it now. Never before have we seen in the United States gas is up to $5 a gallon in many states, and what in California it's $6.50, I think. So yeah, we're going to continue to see price increases, and so our minds are going, okay, wow, this is a little bit scary, right? Are there other systems out there? Yes, there are, and so it's important for us to hold on to our vision and stay focused to that as these changes are going through and coming along. Because when we have changes that are external to us, we don't have control over them. We have control over how we react. That's it.
Indeed.
How we behave and how we react.
Indeed. And important.
Yeah.
What is your YouTube channel?
Oh, so yeah, if anybody would like to go to my YouTube channel, it's called Innovative Economy. And so really happy to share. There's a lot of free content there. I also did an interview series on women in crypto. I interviewed many of the inventors, engineers, and entrepreneurs who started their own businesses in this digital economy. So there's lots of opportunity to move your business into this new digital economy and get it going, so that, our old system of, working in a cubicle might not be the environment somebody wants to work in. I know what my son said. He goes, Mom, I'm never going to go work in a corporate world. Okay. I do not want to go work in a cubicle. So I look at him, why not, son? Well, he wasn't raised that way, but second of all, he understood what his vision is, and he has a good vision. Stay focused on your vision, on what it is, and make that happen. Create the environments around you that can actually support your vision and move you forward in it.
Wow, that's so essential for our young, isn't it? To help
It
give them a
is.
vision, because it can be discouraging otherwise.
Yeah. I will say this about technology, and it's unfortunate because children, if there's any children listening to this, have a new dilemma that we didn't have when we were younger. When we were younger, we would go outside and play with our friends, go knock on their door, just go around the block, just go play. It was a big, vast, open world we could go play in. Now, children today are, okay, let's play a video game on the phone. Let's go to the restaurant, and the children are playing on their phone. So they're creating a whole world internally in technology. So the motivation to go out there in the big world, right, is scary, because everything is at their fingertips here. No longer do I need to go visit France. I can learn about France, and I can see pictures of France, and I can talk to people from France all in my phone. So, there's a different motivation now that we're looking at, a different dilemma. And with the world at their fingertips, it can be quite overwhelming and defeating. And when I say defeating, or frustrated, because, why do I need to go out and make something happen out here? It's all right here already, so that's
a lot of distractions
existential.
Right there too.
Well, and for the parents and the teachers, it shows up as distractions, right? And it could be even for the child who's learning and who's always learned with technology, and even the younger generations coming, the distraction is them. It might look like a distraction, but it could be them processing as well. Processing maybe what they had just previously learned, or what they just previously saw, because they're exposed to so much more than what we were when we were kids.
So much more.
Yeah. So there's a lot, and they're becoming old souls at a younger age, right? When I say that. Yeah.
That's talking spirit right there.
Yeah.
I love that you integrate your metaphysical ministry aspect into the business technology. It really is a rich package. I can feel
thank you,
how there's all this like, well, what about that? What about this? And I'm certain that there's going to be people that are interested to contact you. And I know that that we'll have connections to the vision budgeting,
yes,
which is significant. But just could you tell us like your email, or how would they best reach you?
Yeah, so my email is the same as my YouTube channel. It's innovativeeconomy@gmail.com. And so feel free to email me. I actually provided my scheduling link, so it should be available on the interview on the
backlinks. Yeah.
When during the summit, where they could go right in and book on my calendar. So perfect. Then, and I will absolutely set aside time for doing the vision budgeting. It is so much fun. And I love to see the light bulbs go off, and like, wow, I could actually make this happen. Yeah, you can. And so that's one of the things, with my coaching program is as I walk through with the individual on meeting their goals. And so, yeah, it's a good time right now, even though, we do see a lot of changes that are very difficult for many people. And I don't mean to discount them or dismiss them, because change is difficult. It's very difficult. But I believe that change is inevitable. And when we embrace change, then we open to possibilities of a better, brighter future, one that can promise you financial success.
Oh, I
That's my little
love it.
blurb.
Oh, that's a great finishing note. And I just really say namaste. Thank you for your generosity. You've
Namaste.
been so helpful in my growth, and I can feel how helpful you are in others. And just thank you for sharing your wisdom.
Thank you very much, Jill. Glad to be here.
Namaste.
Bye-bye.